I think that this is a conversation that is well overdue, that needs to be talked about. Women are super powerful and super important on this planet. I really want y'all to grab your daughters, grab them and sit them down so that they can hear this, because they need to know. Even if you don't understand, I want you to sit too, but they also need to know, and they need to know now. They need to know now before it gets time for them to start sleeping with people and getting into relationships, so that they don't fall victim and fall out of power and out of control of their own circumstances. The more you know yourself, the more in control of your life you can be. A woman's body is essential to the creation of everybody on here, okay? Everybody on here comes from a woman's body. I think that knowing that alone should bring everyone into the understanding of how intentional you should be when you are procreating or you are caring for yourself as a woman. Because first things first, you're in control of all of this. And you're in control of all of this because you birthed the inhabitants of this planet. Having such power to be able to do something of such gives you a greater responsibility on the planet, in life. So if you have all this power and it's all up to you. You are the gatekeeper, it's all up to you. You have to start moving in that with intention and understanding. And that comes from self-awareness. And this is why I'm having this conversation with y'all right now, why I'm doing this video, because I think that women have lost their way. But honestly, they lost their way so much, they lost their understanding of their power and their self-worth and their self-awareness beyond being in a relationship with a man. This is further than that. This is your relationship with nature, your purpose as a person here. Everybody doesn't have kids here. Everybody doesn't, create other people here. They choose not to, but you have that choice. And even in having that choice, there is still a responsibility that is greater on you to know yourself so that you can make the appropriate decisions in your life, so that your health can be great and you can operate and function in balance and harmony with the planet. So, without further ado, let's talk about a woman's body and the cycle that she has naturally. So first things first, women's cycles operate with the moon. The moon has a cycle, women have a cycle. This is also how I know that we're supposed to be doing things a particular type of way so that we can stay in balance. But let's start with a woman's cycle and the basics of it. A woman's cycle consists of 4 parts. So you have what you like to call a menstrual cycle, and then you have a menstrual period. So your period is the beginning of this menstrual cycle. It is a 28 to 30 day cycle on average. It's supposed to be. Now, all right, we're not going to talk about health ailments and all that for the people who have these issues. This is the basics. This is the foundation. If you have any other issues outside of this could be discussed in another video. You're supposed to have a 28 to 30 day cycle, right? Every 28 days, a new cycle starts, and this is when your period starts. Your period comes down, your uterine lining sheds, and you have this bleeding that happens, right? And it happens for, unfortunately, on average 5 to 7 days in women. That's not natural. It's not supposed to be that long, and it's not supposed to be as intense as it is, but that is another conversation for another day as well. So you have this cycle of the period, that is the cycle of the menstrual cycle, that is called the period or menstruation, when you start to bleed or you shed your endometrium lining of your uterus. Then you move on. After that, there is this week where there's nothing happening. There's something happening on a hormonal level, on a biochemical level, but you're not aware because nobody taught us this and nobody told us this, but you are aware because you feel different the whole month. So during this second phase is what they like to call the follicular phase. So this is the phase of the cycle where, from my understanding, the egg is starting to mature, right? Because the beginning of the period or the new cycle is the expulsion of the egg that is not fertilized during that cycle. So there's an egg follicle that is being stimulated so that it can be grown and be released for this menstrual cycle. The follicular phase is that phase where the hormones are adjusting to help your body get ready to release an egg during the next phase, which is the next week, which would be the ovulation phase. And in this week, one of them beautiful days out of that week, you know, it's a little rough to figure out what day that's gonna be, but I'll do another separate video on how you can figure out what that day may potentially be. That day is the day that your egg is released from your ovary, the mature egg, the egg that has grown and matured over the last couple of weeks in the follicle. This is from what I understand. You're naturally born with all of your eggs. It's just that in your ovaries, the egg follicles are stimulated with hormones throughout your body that sends signals from your pituitary gland to your ovaries and all that. You send these biochemical signals to let your body know to nurture an egg inside the follicle so that it can be healthy for this release in this cycle, and it can be fertilized in this cycle. So that is the follicular phase into the ovulation phase. The ovulation phase is the release of that egg and down into your fallopian tubes so that it can be met with a sperm and it can implant in your uterus and you can have one of us, a little baby, right? You're supposed to release an egg, and within 24 hours it's supposed to be fertilized. If it is not fertilized within 24 hours, the egg then continues to travel down the fallopian tubes into your uterine lining, your endometrium uterine lining, and it attaches itself like it would when you get pregnant, but it's not fertilized. So your body sends a signal to let your uterus know, your ovaries know. They're sending signals between your pituitary gland and all that. It's going back and forth, letting you know that, hey, this egg didn't get fertilized this month. New cycle. Go ahead and shed that egg out and we can do a new cycle. All of this process is literally just for you to have a baby. This whole process is literally for you to create a new life. Once the egg is not fertilized, or if it is, there is a period in between ovulation and your actual menstrual cycle, which is considered the 2-week wait. That is the period in which you are now in your luteal phase. How I understand it is, this is that time where the body is sending signals back and forth again. It's the same hormones, but they're at different levels of strength and capacity. There's different levels of the hormones in particular phases of your cycle. So during the luteal phase, this is the phase where your body is adjusting the hormone levels to fit whatever has taken place during the ovulation phase into now. If you've gotten pregnant in that luteal phase, you're in the 2-week wait, right? This is the time before your period starts. You are conceiving. You have fertilized the egg, you're getting ready to implant the egg in the uterus, and you're getting ready to be a mom. Once the day for your new cycle to start comes, you're not getting your period. That would be the day that you would take your pregnancy test and you would potentially find out that you're pregnant. All that took place in between the ovulation phase and the luteal phase into the new period. The luteal phase is the rebalancing of hormones to accommodate what has taken place after ovulation. So whether you fertilized the egg or you didn't. So it's just your body adjusting itself to whatever has taken place, and then you end up either having your period or it is now set to nurture a child, and everything just takes off at that time. Understanding that alone will help you have better self-awareness, because you'll know where you are in your cycles and you'll know how to navigate the emotional and the mental fluctuations that happen around that time. You'll be able to understand why things are taking place the way they are at those times. I didn't mean for this to be too scientific or anything like that. This is just me giving you a baseline understanding of the 4 phases of the menstrual cycle. So you have these different phases that take place over a 28 to 30 day period. Have grace with yourself, honey. First of all, know that you are very, very powerful, and you're very intricate in detail when it comes to your body and the mechanisms that take place in your body as a woman alone. Your uterus is magnificent. Your uterus has the ability to create the past, the present, and the future all in one. So please understand that there's so much going on in your body, and please honor the fluctuations of your hormones and your mental state when these things happen, because it's meant to be that way, so that you can bring people here. Do you understand how grand that is? So that you can bring people here. Of course, there's gonna be a lot of things going on so that we can do that, right? I'll do a separate video on how to track your ovulation and how to track your cycles, how to actually track your cycles, because people don't know that they can predict when their period is coming. You can know when your period is coming down to a T. If you have health issues specific to PCOS, severe hormonal imbalances, or like fibroids that are severe, all these things that are causing your cycle to not be regular every 28 to 30 days, if it's not a regular 28 to 30 day cycle every month for at least 3 months, this is not for you right now. You have to heal yourself first in order for you to know when you could potentially get pregnant and when your period is coming. If you have PCOS, your cycles are going to be all over the place. And that means that your ovulation is all over the place, which means you're more susceptible to getting pregnant off a whim, just randomly, okay? And your periods are more susceptible to coming whenever. So you have a hard time being balanced, which means your hormones are all over the place. Everything's all over the place, and it's trying to regulate, but for some reason, it's having a hard time doing that. Just know baseline, I have a 28 to 30 day cycle. Every month, the same thing happens. There is a week where I am bleeding. There is a week where I'm preparing to mature an egg. There's a week where I'm releasing that egg. There's a week when I am balancing out my hormones to accommodate whether or not that egg has been fertilized or not. And then there's a week where I am bleeding again. So understand that the cycle just starts over again, depending on what happens. It's just the same thing every month. So learn that, know that, have your daughters tune into this, send it to y'all babies, because the little girls need to know. They need to know before they get themselves caught up in the mix with these boys. And let your sons watch it too, because the men need to learn how to teach their sons, or the women need to teach their sons about a woman's body too, so that they know how to actually operate with a woman. They can understand her, because they understand the intricacy of her body and how delicate it is, how the processes work, so that they can understand how to deal with her during these times. It's so important that young boys and men know this too, but really the people who possess the organ that I'm speaking of need to know this more than anybody, because it's your whole anatomy. This is you. And when you know yourself, you take your power back. That's all I'm saying. So in the next video, I will be talking about how to track our ovulation and how to track our periods, because it's time that women learn that they are in control of their reality, and they are the gatekeepers of others. They decide who comes here or not. The uterus is so intricate. It is a beautiful organ. I am obsessed with the uterus. I have been this way since I was an 8-year-old little girl. I have been obsessed with the uterus. I couldn't wait to start my period. I don't know why. I mean, I know why now, but I didn't know why. My periods were so bad. Oh my God. I was like, you can have it back, God. I love the uterus. I love the womb. And you should love it enough too to learn more about it, so that you can actually utilize it in a way that is beneficial and productive in your life, instead of, you know, just allowing someone else to control it or something else to control it. Because in reality, can't nobody control you but you, okay? And anything internally you have autonomy over.